You may be wondering what you're seeing. Yes, this is an upside down tree, and we're in Glacier Gardens.
Before. It was that year that our founders, Steve and Cindy Bowie, purchased 6.5 acres of land right here in the area where we're standing. They purchased this land intending to use it to expand the plant nursery business that they already had in operation just a few miles further down in the valley here in Juneau. Now, they did purchase this land knowing quite a bit of it had been damaged by a large landslide that had taken place in 1984. So the first thing they did when they acquired the land here was get it cleaned up. But as they were doing that cleanup work, of course, it occurred to them that if one large landslide like that could happen and kind of wipe everything out, it's a pretty safe bet another's going to follow at some point in the future, wipe everything out again, which is less than ideal if you're looking to build a business in the area. And so they decided to acquire rights to work with a further 44 acres of land higher up the mountain, where they would install a system of ponds and waterfalls, working with some natural stream beds to create a constant flow of water from high to low on the mountain. Having that constant movement of water lets sediment from the top of the mountain move down gradually over time with the water, which means that there is not very much sediment built up at the top, so if there is any kind of landslide activity, it's not going to be a very big or destructive one. On that 44 acres, they also installed our tour route, which you'll be on with our driver in just a few moments here. Now, you may have noticed throughout property some of our famous upside-down trees. You can see a few more of them just ahead of us here. You might find yourself wondering how we got these upside-down trees, and the short answer is by accident. You see, when our founder, Steve Bowie, was doing a lot of his initial cleanup setup work, he was doing it with his own two hands, but when it came to moving the heavier pieces of debris from the landslide, fallen trees, boulders, etc., he needed a little extra muscle. By muscle in this case, I mean machinery. He rented a brand new excavator. He rented it for 30 days, and he rented it without the insurance policy because it was significantly cheaper for him that way. I think you might see where this story is headed, folks. On the 30th and final day of Steve's excavator rental, he had placed his final boulder. He decided he was going to back up, get a good look around, make sure he hadn't missed anything. He put it in reverse and reversed directly into a fallen tree he had happened to miss. That tree ended up punching a hole right through the metal body of the excavator to the tune of a few $1,000s in repairs. Steve was pretty upset with himself for making that very expensive mistake, and so he decided he was going to get revenge on the offending tree by picking it up with the excavator arm and slamming it into the ground, hoping it would shatter satisfyingly into millions of pieces. Well, it didn't so much as crack. In fact, it just became lodged in the mud with its roots up in the air, dangling down around it. And as Steve looked at the tree with its roots dangling like that, he realized it reminded him of a hanging basket of petunias with all the leaves and the vines dangling down. The more he looked at it, the more he liked it, and he got the inspiration then and there to use a number of those fallen trees from the initial landslide as the first of what would become his landscaping signature, which is his upside-down tree flower tower. You'll see about 30 of those throughout our entire property, each and every one planted by just one man and one man only, and that is still our founder, Steve Bowie, to this day. He is 65 years old this year, still going strong.
We're getting ready to board our ride, and as we're riding through the woods, we have a guy explaining a lot of things to us.
Basically what happens is starting around the end of November, we get these really strong winds that hit downtown Juneau, down at sea level at about 40 to 60 miles an hour. They come in as big wind gusts, not a sustained thing, and then as that wind travels up the sides of the mountains, it gets accelerated, and the wind can eventually reach speeds of up to 150 miles an hour up at the very tops of our mountains. Now, thankfully, no one really lives out there. It's not like it's hurricane season every year here in Juneau. It's just really windy in downtown in the wintertime. So, in the unlikely event that you own porch furniture, you gotta bring it inside, nail it down, or return it to car. grew up around the boulder rolled away one day. I'll have the tree with that big old donut hole in it. And it makes this big buddy system of all of our trees holding on to each other. They have to do that because of how shallow the soil is. If you look over here on the right, you can see there's only about 1 foot to 2 feet of topsoil there before you hit the rock. And it's all marine shale and slate. So all of the trees, they're holding on to each other, the bushes, boulders, whatever they can find, folks, they're going to grab onto it and hang on to it. Well, it depends on what you're talking about. Probably 8 or 9 different red berries up here. So there's the red huckleberry that grows on a small overleaf bush. You probably see some over here on the left. Those are red huckleberries. There's the most poisonous berry in Alaska, the baneberry. Those grow in a cluster of about 8 to 12 little red berries. And they kill you quick. It only takes 3 to 5 baneberries to kill an adult human. There's a little red berry that grows on the devil's club. That one doesn't have a name. You can't eat it though. Won't kill you. It just doesn't taste very good. There's a berry that grows really close to the ground on a ground cover called a creeping raspberry. That one turns more of a hot pink really soon, but it's a deep red right now. There is a orange reddish berry growing on a dwarf dogwood called a bunchberry. That's a really common one. There are low bush cranberries too. We see those time to time. Less down here than we're going to be up here. And there's one more I'm forgetting. No, can't remember. It is one of those berries. If you point it out up here, then I'll probably be able to tell you. It's probably the huckleberry or the bunchberry that grows on the dwarf dogwood. And the dwarf dogwood does get a little dogwood flower on it, little white dogwood flower. And it's very pretty. Yeah, lots of different berries. We have lots of blueberries too. They're not true blueberries. There's the Alaskan blueberry and the early blueberry, neither of which are real blueberries. We just call them blueberries. They're purple. They also grow on a small overleaf bush over here next to the red huckleberries. Yeah, those are the blueberries. And they're edible. About 1/3 of them have a little worm inside, so you chew them really quick, but...
Chew them really quick.
Yeah, so... We have elderberries too. That's the seeds inside are poisonous. Purple elderberries are what most people have. Those aren't poisonous, but the red ones are. Can't eat the red ones. Lots of different berries here. We got salmon berries. That looks like a raspberry, but it goes from a yellow to an orange to a red color. And that doesn't taste like salmon. That would be gross. They call it a salmon berry because when it ripens, it turns red and looks like salmon eggs all bunched up together. So they call it a salmon berry. And we're just passing 500 feet, only 100 more feet to go. That's right up into the clearing there. You all came here on a great day. You know, it's not raining right now. That's usually what's going on. Here in Juneau, we get 120 to 140 inches of rain every single year, so. Light jacket's territory for some of us. Cloudies at least. No, we stopped doing this pretty soon. About, people come off the ship, purple noses, blue fingers, wearing Daisy Dukes. Just crazy. Just crazy.
Wow.
So don't be those people. If you got family coming here in October, you give them a call, because it's not going to be a good time. They're not going to have fun. Look down on your left, see the road just came up. That's right, you did it, folks.
We actually have some blue sky.
Pretty plants on the right. White, red, polydactyl daisies, purple lobelia, pink petunia, yellow bidens, no relation. There's a plant in there that looks like a palm tree. It's not a palm tree. It's called Spiker dracaena. Much more closely related to asparagus than it would be a palm tree. And it does not survive the winters. All of the plants in the landscape that are perennials that don't survive the winter have to get dug up, repotted, and put back inside the greenhouse. There's 3 to 5 of us that go through and dig everything up before winter. And it's just the most fun job you ever had in your whole life. And I can't wait. Alright folks, we made it. We're where we want to be. We're going to keep coming out around the corners. It's a pretty good view out there. We'll walk out, we'll talk about what we're looking at, we'll take some photos, and then we head down a whole different road. So here we go, have to pull up right here. And you're all going to exit off to the
This is where everybody actually lives. Goes around the corner a couple miles out to the Mendenhall Glacier. Some people live just a mile and a half away from the glacier. You got the Juneau International Airport down there, that not so long runway. We get one flight to Canada each and every week. Makes us an international airport. Other than that, there's 3 gates, technically 5, 2 of them are never open, so tell how busy it is down there. Big body of water out across the wetlands. We call that Fritz Cove. It's all ocean water. Then there's a giant landmass way out across the water out there. It's got the dip that goes real low. Just the mountains out there with the dip in the middle. That is a part of an island called Admiralty. Admiralty Island has the densest population of brown bears in North America. There's about 1,600 brown bears on that island, or 1.35 brown bear per square mile. They do outnumber the humans, good 5 to 1 bears to humans. More brown bears on that island than the rest of the lower 48 United States country.
slime molds just look however they look. A really common one we get is called wolf smoke slime mold, and that looks like pink paint balls growing on a log, and if you poke them, they pop and ooze a pink Pepto-Bismol like slime. And yeah, it's a slime mold. We get another one called dog vomit slime mold. That one looks like a dog threw up right on the log. Just looks like dog vomit, but it's a slime mold. It's alive. It moves around. They move on the log and stuff. They decompose things under them. And you poke that one, it oozes a really gross yellow liquid that you always gotta poke them. Poking them's the best part. See what liquid comes out of them. A really common one is the black pearl slime mold too. That one looks like someone poured out an inkwell on a log. Just poured their inkwell all over the log, and it's kind of bubbly, like a big pool of black ink. And if you poke that one, it oozes a really rich brown liquid. Kind of looks like espresso. So it's cool, yeah. Yeah, I mean, just so much biodiversity. So, like all these white patches on the tree, that's not the tree, that's a lichen. The dark spots growing on the trees too, you'll see black spots, that's a lichen growing off of the pitch. There's a lot of these brain coral looking lichens. Most of those are deer antler. I think it's called reindeer or deer antler, and that grows on a lot of them. Yeah, so the biodiversity, it's pretty amazing. And I'm not a biologist. I don't go to school for any of this. I just do the tours. So I like learning them, but there's still definitely a lot to learn. But I know a pretty good amount, I guess. I was born and raised right here in Juneau, so feel free to shout out those questions.